Heath.
And I'm Jay.
You're listening to Host of Horror, show where we discuss and review horror films based off the predetermined themes of the month. Jay.
Hi, welcome back to Adaptations Month. I said it right this time.
You did it right this time.
Yeah.
John's back for the right movie.
Hello.
For the movie that we're actually supposed to put him in. Alright.
It's our excuse for having him twice.
Oh yeah, that's a good excuse.
Yeah, I liked it.
I would be willing to come back, I think.
Yeah.
Hey! So, for this specific adaptation, it's going to be none other than...
Annihilation.
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 Yeah.
Yeah. Directed
Starring
by...
Natalie Portman and a whole bunch of great other people, including my husband, Oscar Isaac.
Also directed by Alex Garland. He actually helped write or wrote a little bit, or how would you say it? Like he helped write, was a co-writer.
Is he credited as a co-writer?
Yes, he's credited as a writer for The Beach.
It's for The Beach.
Yeah, that old Leonardo DiCaprio movie.
So, like, I say co-writer. I say co-writer.
Co-writer?
Yeah.
Think about that for a minute. Okay. Yeah, directed by him. It is based off the novel, which I found out last week is a fucking trilogy by Jeff Vandermeer.
Vandermeer. Okay, so this is another movie that I came into blind. So I would like to speak to the person who introduced me to this film in the first place. John.
Oh. Well then. I've been trying to get you to watch this movie probably since shortly after we met.
And
almost 2 years ago.
Almost 2 years ago. Oh, wow. It has been 2 years already.
Actually, it's now been just a little over 2 years.
Oh my
god.
Yeah. Man, life is crazy. But yeah, no, he's been trying to get me to watch this thing for a long time. I was like, it's going to be on my list. It's going to be on my list. And then, you know how people say it's on my list? That translates to, oh, you're not going to watch it. At least not for a while.
Look, John, you're hyping it up too much. You're going to make me hate it. Gosh.
Oh, that is a good question. Did he overhype it?
I don't think he overhyped it, because he's literally the only one who talked about it. Okay, so long after I, went over my head to actually watch this thing, so therefore I haven't seen it yet until now. I've seen other people talk about it. They're like, okay, yeah, it's alright. But from what I heard, the whole release of it is kind of weird.
Oh, man. You have no idea. So, they were getting ready to release it. And I don't know, I think a month or two before it was supposed to come out, they announced that it was only coming to theaters in North America, aka the US and Canada, and China. Everywhere else, it was going straight to streaming. And so, there was a whole lot of debate on whether that hurt his performance. There were a lot of people were saying, well, it's a more cerebral movie, it's and whatnot, so it would do better in Europe. Why is it going to streaming in Europe instead of theaters in Europe? And so on and so forth.
Yeah, I feel like this film would have been like a word of mouth would have helped it a lot. Like, I feel like opening weekend in theaters probably wouldn't have done very well, but like as the weeks went on, you would slowly see that progression. Because I feel like even if you're not into these type of movies, just someone trying to explain it to you is good enough of you wanting to watch it. Like, that's how I came around to it. My fiance's brother actually told me about it, and it was the worst description I've ever heard, but it got me captivated. Like, I was like, well, fuck, I have to know what this is.
I feel like it's one of those that if you describe too much, you're just going to start spoiling it.
Yeah.
Like to explain to you why, or like the different things and whatnot, I have to tell you. So I can't tell you that much.
And you can't even describe it well. Like, you have to describe it well enough to pique someone's interest, but you can't describe it well enough without spoiling certain things. So it's just one of those movies where you have to see it. Just Annihilation, go watch it.
Well, luckily for us, it's on Paramount Plus. So if you have Paramount Plus, go ahead and watch it. So,
what'd you think?
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
So, first thoughts as I was watching this. Holy shit. It reminds me of... it reminds me of a mixture of, like, Arrival, Dune, just about, like... Oh, and The Lighthouse. Just a plethora... It feels like there's a plethora of different films that I've seen before that are like mix matched into this. And on top of that, you have a complex story about this one lady, Lena, who's going through one hell of a crisis, I think. And it feels like one of the ultimate themes, I think, of this movie is about, I guess, trying to either move on or have like when you struggle with moving on from something, maybe like a traumatic event or just life, you're trying to, like, you know, be a better self, and you just kind of be like, this kind of feels like an allegory for it. But then again, anything feels like an allegory nowadays, so I might be like bullshit.
Well,
but that's how I feel about it whenever, like, first thoughts seeing everything.
I also feel like it harkens on the past mistakes, because every character has something in the past that they regret. You have Shepard with her daughter dying. You have probably Dr. Is it Ventress?
Yes.
Dr. Ventress. She, again, everyone talks about how she has absolutely no life besides work, and then you find out that she has cancer. So she's probably going through the whole thing of, wow, I've done absolutely nothing with my life, and here I am dying. You have Lena, who had the affair with her husband. You have Josie, who was a cutter and a self-mutilator. And then you had Anya, who was an addict, who's just now sober. So everyone has past trauma that they're dealing with in one way or another.
Yeah, no, I was surprised with the amount of depth that this film has. Because when you think of something that is, like, very science fiction-y, is like...
That's a word.
This is a very, like, deeply science fiction movie that is based off feels like a deeply science fiction novel as well.
Oh, yes.
So, putting this in a horror context, all the horror aspects were just, like, small things and were very just atmospheric, just, like, more so the fear of the unknown based off of, like, fucked up shit that's happened in the past and events that you get to see later on in the film. A lot of it is based off of, like, flashbacks, which for some reason is some of my favorite kinds of movies to be made, where everything's told through a flashback. I don't know why. Not even movies, just like media in general, because Persona 5 does the exact same shit when it comes to its storytelling. But I think I was actually, like, just blown away with just how much substance it's packed into this kind of film. And on top of that, it once again goes into horror being used as kind of a subgenre of a bigger one. Because, like, when it comes to, like, science fiction and horror, I feel like they can get like tapped into different other genres and can basically go hand in hand and kind of, like, be meshed. They're very meshable.
Well,
They're malleable. That's the right word, malleable. And I feel like they were going heavy more for, like, science fiction, kind of. Would you say cosmic horror?
Cosmic horror.
Yeah,
cosmic horror.
The
yeah.
fear of the unknown, the unexplained.
Yeah.
Very H.P. Lovecraft, if you will.
I even see this as a spiritual successor to 2001. Where as the story develops, it gets, like, it's just people trying to solve a mystery. They're scientists. They're trying to gather data and whatnot. But as it goes on, it gets stranger and stranger and stranger and more dangerous, and just, like,
Stranger Things there.
Yeah, where
Oh, ha!
where 2001 is like they were going after the unknown. This is like the unknown just kind of plopped on Earth.
Yeah.
And here you go, have at it.
And a lot of it gets triggered whenever Lena's husband comes back, after about a year of being disappearing.
Which, imagine how much that
English at all.
sucks. Imagine, like, your significant other is gone for a year. You think they're dead. They show up one night out of the fucking blue after a year of you thinking they're dead, and they're just blank. You know, no emotion, no whatsoever. You're asking them questions, not anything, and then all of a sudden, boom. All the organs are failing, blood's coming out of his mouth and everything. That has to suck.
No, that's a day worth drinking about. That's the kind of day where I'm like, my whiskey bottle, my vodka bottle is wide open.
Vodka?
I love vodka.
Ugh, not water.
Anyway.
I sense a disagreement.
Fuck you and your shitty choices in alcohol.
No, I had a neighbor who, like, every day would drink Taka vodka, like a gallon of it.
Wow.
But, like, no, like, he would drink a gallon of
his
Taka.
liver.
He would drink, like, a gallon of Taka vodka a day. Almost every single day. And, of course, neighbor, and I'm, like, 20 years old in New Orleans, so I'm like,
That
yeah,
sounds about right.
you know what, I'll help you polish that off. Fuck vodka.
No,
I will never touch not water again.
You just had a bad time.
This is his trauma, and he is moving on.
I am moving on.
Move on to better vodka.
I'm going to turn into a plant person.
Move on to better vodkas. Honestly, if you turn into a plant person, it means you turn into a agave plant, so you can turn into tequila.
I don't want to be tequila. I want to be rum. I'm a pirate, damn it. I'll find the One Piece, and the One Piece is Captain Morgan with Sailor Jerry on the side. And maybe some Kraken. Rum is good. No one else is good this movie.
We digress. But no, it sucks a lot having to deal with that. Your significant other just like coming in blank face and then, they're dying. And then being jumped into a whole ass situation where your husband that you probably didn't even know was even there. Like, what's going on? You get jumped into a situation where it's like, this is the cause of my husband's problems. I guess I gotta go in there. I guess I'll owe him that. And then, it turns out there's a lot of regret in there.
Yeah.
A lot of regret in the form of a nice bald black man. That's part of it.
I wouldn't say he's nice. He was he was cheating on his wife. And
they were both in the wrong.
And then later on invited the person he was cheating on with to a barbecue with his wife.
Yeah.
That was weird.
My whole thing is like, he was like, we're clearly attracted to each other. And she's like, what about your wife? My wife has nothing to do with this. I love her. What?
She is flawless and blameless.
That was...
What? Why are you cheating on her then?
I'm going to talk about the part that I didn't like. That was probably the one part that I absolutely hated. Was that one scene. Because it's like, what the fuck are you doing with your, like, that you say, you love your wife, but you just boink someone else's, widow. Like, what
wasn't even a widow at this point.
What are you doing? And that's the one part that I absolutely hated was that scene, because it fucked me up, because I was like, both of y'all are shit. I'm not gonna say you're shitty people. Both of y'all are not y'all ain't right for that. That was not good. I get it. I know Mr. Kane wasn't really like being responsive and loving like the way you wanted it or the way it was, but come on. That doesn't mean you gotta find another man to ride.
No, I don't think he wasn't.
I don't know. In that flashback where they're laying in bed, he was pretty
loving. But there are parts of where they were just like, obviously, like,
that was after he knew she had an affair.
That's all.
And then that flashback was after he had already left.
Yeah.
Never mind. No.
So
I take part of that back because it still was not right.
The timeline of the flashbacks gets confusing.
It does.
Yeah, they kind of like jumble it around all over the fucking place. But the key thing is when Dr. Ventress talks about how humans themselves always seek a way to self-destruct, whether through smoking, drinking, gambling, or cheating. You always find a way to self-destruct, and that's how you can kind of tie everything together. Where Natalie Portman literally just cheated on him for no good reason.
That part hurt me a lot.
Hurt her, obviously.
Hey,
she's literally going into the unknown because she feels like she owes him something.
Yeah.
Because she feels like the only reason he took this mission in the first place is because he knew. Which, can I talk about a scene that I love? Is when he comes back and he says, you know, that night, and he just says that night, he's like, I was standing there in the doorway. So when it goes to the flashback where they're having the conversation and the camera keeps cutting back and forth between the bald guy and Natalie Portman, notice how the camera slowly starts moving towards the door frame. No one's there.
No
one's there ever.
He had already gone to the Shimmer.
Yeah.
He was already gone.
Yeah, I understand that. But weird shit happens in the Shimmer.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. But like when he just says that after being gone from the Shimmer so long, and then they cut to him, the bald guy, sitting on the bed and no door frame in frame. Then back to Natalie Portman. And then back to the door and back to him, but then the camera starts panning to the doorway where it barely gets in frame. And then every time they cut to him, the doorway gets more and more. So it's almost like it's trying to indicate to you that he is standing there even if you can't see him.
Well, I felt that line was more like he didn't know how he got home. And she was like, where were you? And he's like, I was outside. And she says, outside the house? No, outside the room. Like, yeah. He doesn't even know how he got in the house. But he just wound up outside the bedroom where she was painting the walls.
Yeah, but their hands are holding when he says all this. And then he says that outside the room. When he says outside the room, she gets a look on her face and their hands let go. Mm-hmm. To me, indicating that, oh shit, he saw me having an affair. Or like, that's how he knows kind of thing.
That little refraction of the water.
That was also very beautiful. There's a lot of beautiful just shot. This film is probably one of the prettiest horror films I've ever seen in my life. Prettiest films I probably have ever seen in my life. This is a gorgeous film.
Oh yeah, no, the film is very... Honestly, you know what a lot of the film reminds me of? Y'all know those AI like simulations that look like acid trips?
No.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Okay, so imagine
what
like...
are you looking up?
Oh, no, like... There's like a lot of like, you know, those things that looks like with like the multiple eyes and shit and like the multiple colors. Like it looks like you're in an acid trip.
No.
I have to show you later. But it reminds me of basically like an acid trip, but like the colors. It reminds me of the acid trip, but like done right. It's like it's like an acid trip without the...
It reminds me
without the bullshit, without the scary shit. Well, not scary shit. But
are you talking about like those YouTube videos where like I've only heard about them. That they're supposed to have a certain color combination. You're supposed to listen to a certain type of sound, and it's supposed to make you feel like you're tripping.
Kind of,
but you're not actually doing anything.
Kind of like that.
No so it's like a brain drug.
Yeah, something like that.
It's a brain drug kind of thing.
Don't do drugs.
But that's what it's just a production design and just everything about this film, from the Shimmer, especially the Shimmer, I just absolutely love. I just love the use of the color and the refractions that's based off of, and the fact that everything's like refracted. I love that, and it goes from, and you can tell throughout the movie that it goes from refraction towards reflection, to where everything's basically mirrored, and you know, culminates in that climax where honestly, I don't even know how to describe the climax, y'all. Y'all probably do better than I can. But it goes.
We might try.
But yeah, that part was like absolutely fucking beautiful, and the culmination of what I think is a brain drug, because this feels like an acid trip. Like 2001 level, acid trip, that's what it feels like.
I will say, like, if you're saying there's YouTube videos out there that do brain drugs, this would be a brain drug. I don't know. I like the colors because it reminds me of oil in the water. There's a lot of green and purples and slickness.
A lot of iridescence.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's amazing. Do you want to try and explain the climax? Because
I just really want to hear just why. What made you really love this movie the way you do?
Okay, so the basic plot is we meet Lena. She is a biology professor at Johns Hopkins Hospital, right? Or at the university connected to the hospital. Her husband, who has been away on a covert mission of some type, he is military, randomly comes home on the day that she decides to paint the bedroom. After the man who she had been having an affair with invited her to a barbecue. Her husband starts dying. They're going to a secret facility called the Southern Reach, which is the organization that handles the Shimmer. In the book, it's called Area X. They go in.
Didn't they imagine Area X as well in the movie? Because there's like a whole lot of subtitle that said Area X.
They did.
Okay.
So the whole trilogy is called Area X, and Annihilation is the first book of the trilogy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And from the very first thing we get is they enter, they have no idea what's going on. So immediately it's like, okay, weirdness, even more to solve than we thought.
Well, it's even they don't remember days.
Right.
It's like 3 to 4 days of rations have been taken away, and they can't remember any of it.
It's like their whole mind's been refracted. Scrambled.
They move on, and we get these beautiful flowers that are it's all one plant, but they're all different, right? So things are mutating, things are changing, and then we get the alligator.
Love the alligator.
Oh, yeah.
That was a pretty gator. He was all white with red eyes. He's cute.
They
They killed him for no reason.
Oh man,
I don't know. There was not a reason.
Just had to save Josie's life.
Fuck Josie.
Hey! What we're not gonna do?
Just feed the alligator and let him live.
No. What we're not gonna do? You're not gonna do it. I love Josie. She was one of my favorites, and halfway it's because she's played by Tessa Thompson, and I love Tessa Thompson to death. We're not getting rid of Josie. Josie doesn't deserve to get rid of.
I mean, Thorson was actually in between Josie and the alligator, and Thorson does cause some problems later.
Yeah, so kill Thorson. Feed the gator. Okay, I care for animal lives more than I do human lives.
But as they're examining the alligator, you have the shark teeth instead of the alligator teeth, and Lena's like, "Oh, you can't crossbreed species." And like, first off, species is a very loose term. And like it doesn't fit all usages. So like there's different species of dogs that can interbreed, but like an alligator and a shark cannot breed. Right. So something is making waves in the gene pool, as it is said.
I just want to know what kind of gene pool that is. I'm just saying.
It's a very
Gene Belcher pool.
What?
Gene Belcher pool?
The Gene Belcher pool.
I don't know what that is.
You've never seen Bob's Burgers?
Oh, no, I haven't.
Yet.
Oh, look at that. He's like, what?
Continue.
Someone's offended. Okay. Go ahead.
They move on. They get in the boats, and they start going along the swamp, and they reach the old Southern Reach, right? And this is where they find a videotape.
I think I audibly heard you at that point.
He was squirming.
Okay. So there were a few parts where that one part where I was just like, I can't do this. And it was that part where, old dude gets cut open by none other than Kane. And you see just like actively moving intestines. And they're going inside the guts. And they're pulling it out and it's moving.
Yeah,
it's just going.
I'm pretty sure it was not a trick of the light.
That was not a trick of the light at all.
No, it's a trick of the light. Anya said so.
Anya doesn't know shit.
Obviously.
Plus, Anya's played by fucking Gina Rodriguez. She can go choke.
Hostility there.
I don't like Gina Rodriguez at all.
But, yeah, so that happens. They stay the night, but none of them can sleep, really, except for Josie and Anya. Everyone else is still up. And,
well, they go to the pool.
They do go to the pool. Okay, yes, almost missed that, because that is a beautiful, beautiful set piece.
That is my favorite shot.
So good. So, like, they go to the pool and they find where the guy got cut open and had the intestines everything. From the waist down is normal. Like, he's got the legs and everything in the chair and all that good stuff. Everything looks fine. From the waist up, it's this horrific, it's like the rest of his body just kind of, like, blossomed and bloomed into this. It's hard to explain. It's almost like
it's kind of part fungus.
It's like bio nature. Like it's part of him, part fungus, part plant. It's the best way I can describe it. It's the weirdest looking thing ever, but it's so cool looking. It's so cool looking.
Adds on to the production value of this movie.
It's gorgeous.
The art direction is just phenomenal.
Yes. So good.
Mm-hmm.
Then we meet the bear for the first time.
Oh, yeah. The bear.
The bear.
That bear gave absolutely no fucks. Came in just, whoop! And just...
All right, Shepard, come on. Gonna throw you.
Give me some shepherd pie real fast. Nom, nom, nom.
Just went like, whoop!
I want to know... I want to know how a giant... Because we found out this bear is fucking huge.
Oh, yeah.
I want to know how a giant-ass bear ripped his way through a fence and then got within inches of everyone before they knew a damn thing. And then just bolted. He was gone.
Oh, yeah.
They had night vision goggles and still couldn't find him.
That's one hell of a mutation. And then, I think that's probably a testament to why Josie and Anya couldn't see the bear. But Ventress
and Lena
saw the bear.
Well, they were there.
They were also there.
No, Josie and Anya showed up afterwards.
Yeah, they were walking up.
Yeah, but it was also like, like, oh yeah, we didn't see a bear. I'm like, no shit, Sherlock. Did you not? I was like, did you not see Lena actually like try to be like, come after the bear? But that's for a later scene. I got words to say about that.
And then we go to the flower people commune, right. Which again, back to the production design,
right?
Gorgeous.
They're traveling through the woods, and then they find Shepard's shoe.
Yeah, and Lena goes to look for him.
Lena goes finds her body, but no one else sees it.
Yeah,
so
that's key.
That's the key. And then they reach the flower people.
Anya feels some kind of way.
Oh, yeah.
Anya's seeing some shit.
Anya's face is changing.
Yeah.
Scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I didn't notice that.
I didn't notice a couple of things until he mentioned it. We'll bring up one of them. One is her face was, it's almost like her, like, going to, like, her whole fingerprints are moving. It's like her whole structure, the way she is as a person is physically changing and moving back and forth.
Jay had a theory about changing the lighting on her. And I said maybe they might have even started changing up her makeup because she looks different.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, dare I say it? There are some points where they almost made her look Asian.
Yeah. No.
And I was like, what's with this DNA? Because that was around the time where it gets mentioned about the DNA. How the Shimmer is changing the DNA and just kind of refracting it, kind of scrambling everyone's DNA to where all of these mutations starting from the flowers into the gator and to the bear and to that horrifically beautiful sequence in that one army dude. It goes, it makes you wonder, is like, what kind of phenomena can actively change just the way your insides, change your insides, your bodily, your function as a body, like your whole entire thing. You can basically come out a completely different person. Yeah. And it looks like it's been proven twice-fold that you almost come out as a completely different person after if you survive the Shimmer.
Mm-hmm. I don't think anyone, we'll get to that, but I don't think anyone survived. Anyway, I don't know. Continue.
So they're in the small village with the flower structures that look like humans. And they spend the night. And that's when Thorson takes Anya takes Lena's locket and finds out Lena is a liar.
Lena is a liar.
And that Ventress has known the whole time, that
Josie probably knew.
Maybe, who knows, who figured out what, when. And then...
Fuck this bitch.
She goes off the fucking rails.
You see, it's completely plausible that maybe Thorson's mind is breaking. Mm-hmm. Maybe she's being changed by whatever is going on in the Shimmer. And it really looks like she's possibly not just gonna fuck Lena up, but fuck them all up, mm-hmm. and it's gonna be over. and then
the only thing that saves them is you hear off in the distance Shepard saying, "Help me."
Ooh, child, that scene kind of fucked me up too, because I was like, "Wait a minute." Because we see her whole, like, this part of her neck, her throat is demolished, is non-existent.
Yes, she
dead. So, like, she gone. She dead and gone. How in the fuck do you even hear her? And coming off of last week's episode about, like, fucking vibrating flowers that, like, can mind fuck you, I'm just like, this is like, because like I'm reliving
Don't
trauma
run
right
to the
now.
Flower people. It's the flower people.
It feels like I'm reliving trauma. So I'm like, oh god, somebody's like, pantomiming Shepard.
And the help me's quickly turn into a growl
of a bear
growl, and
missing its entire face.
And because of Anya's bitch ass, I'm bitter about it. I am so bitter about her at this point. Like, because of her bitch ass, and like her really thinking and really believing that, Cass was killed. Shepard was killed by one of their own. Like, she was really about to, like, go on, like, make that theory number 2 happen. But no, she got by the bear. And that was a pretty gruesome kill, if I say so myself.
Well,
like,
before that, you get the whole tension of the bear itself. So, like, she's got everyone tied up in chairs and gagged. The one that got ungagged was Lena. She finally got her hand right. But Anya goes after to save Shepard because she hears the help me, and then you hear the bear attack. Then this giant bear, whose entire skin from the jaw to about the eye bones is just missing. Like, you just see pure, it almost looks like rotting flesh mixed with skull.
It's pretty fucking gross.
And as he's walking, you hear Shepard screaming, "Help me." But it's coming from him. Like, it's him saying "help me" mixed with his natural gurrs and roars. And the scariest scene of it is because there's whole moments where, like, he's walking up and Lena's like, "Don't react, just calm down, everyone, just chill the fuck out for a second."
Like normal bear shit.
Bear shit. Right. And he's doing his thing. He's looking around, sniffing at him, giving him nice little nudges and everything. But then he makes fucking eye contact with Josie. But it's not Josie he's making eye contact, it's you. He looks right at the camera. That's the scariest shit ever. Even though it kind of looks dopey, I'm not going to lie. It looks a little dopey because he just kind of looks like... He gives that look. But still, though, it's this grotesque face staring you at your peoples. And your peoples are looking at its peoples.
Looking into your souls.
Oh, yeah. By the way, bears are my favorite animal. They also terrify me. I've seen so documentaries of bears taking tent poles out and then smashing people and then dragging them off like a little lunch bag while still. And then you take this bear and change it and rip its face off. I'm just like, what the hell?
I will say, God's unfair for creating something that has such a cute, boopable nose that could kill you in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
Don't piss off bears, y'all.
Yeah, don't do it.
But, yeah, no.
Anya shows up, starts shooting the bear. Doesn't work. Anya's dead. What does work is Josie shooting the bear.
Oh, yeah.
And
she got that mother. Ooh.
And that was the part where I was like, I just knew. Two of my favorite people in the film industry just were in this film, and I'm just like, my whole entire body is quaking. I love just how Josie just became a badass and just shot the fuck out of that bear. Like,
oh yeah,
that was a very visceral moment for me. I was like, I felt so much relief.
You could even say that maybe the old Josie died and a new Josie was born.
Like yeah, I knew Josie was born
especially
at that moment.
Especially considering the next morning, where she wears long sleeves all the time to hide her scars and her marks. The next morning, after the whole bear incident, she's wearing a tank top, embracing nature outside.
It kind of makes you just wonders, like, all of these experiences kind of put things into perspective, and you just kind of come to terms with your past, and you just kind of you want to make a new future for yourself.
Well, I liked her comment where she was like, because Venture at this Ventress ventures off on her own, looking for the lighthouse at this point. But Josie makes an interesting comment where she talks about how Lena wants to fight what's happening. Dr. Ventress wants to find out what's happening. And it's almost like Josie at this point, again, just embraces what's happening. And that's when she walks away and succumbs to the forces.
Who even knows what happens?
Yeah. Did she turn
disappear? Is she one of those plants?
Yeah, is she a flower person?
I want to say that she ventured towards being a flower person because you can tell with her scars were starting to grow green, and you can tell that she was like...
Her whole body was growing.
Her whole body was growing, and not in the way that... Not like last... Well...
Not like
last week,
no.
But not unlike last week. But this is in a way where all of her former scars were becoming flowers, were becoming beautiful. And I think that just comes with coming to terms with your past to make it futures for yourself, to embrace what your scars and what your scars that also make you beautiful in you yourself as well. So I think Josie's arc is my favorite arc out of all of these.
So I do that. I don't know what happened with Josie. And I like Lena. So technically, the whole film is a flashback because the first scene is actually Lena sitting in front of Lomax and he's asking her what happened.
Yeah.
So, like, after everything that's not that is technically a flashback.
So you get flashbacks within flashbacks.
Right. And so Lomax asked her what happened to Radak, and she said, I don't know. She didn't actually see what happened. Like, Josie went around a corner.
Gone. And
then we don't see her again. Who knows what happens? When he says, what happened to Thorson and to Shepard, she watched them die. She says, they're dead. And then he says, what happens to Ventress? And she says, I don't know.
Yeah, because she saw it, but can't explain it. Speaking of can't explain it, after all this, it leads to the lighthouse scene. I'm gonna let you take this.
Robert Pattinson would be just so proud of of what the lighthouse could have been.
What?
I'm sorry. I can't. Every time I think of a lighthouse, I think of the lighthouse, and the lighthouse is funny to me.
I love the
Lighthouse.
Lighthouse.
It's horrific, but it's
very
also funny as hell.
I love the Lighthouse. It is one of my favorite romances. It's a romantic comedy.
It's
Wait,
definitely
between the old guy and the lobster?
No, between the old guy and the Pattinson.
Yeah,
between Pattinson and the soap.
There was soap.
I think there's
no.
I think there's a lot of romances.
No.
There's a lot of romance and a lot of unconventional. But speaking of unconventional things, let's hear what you got to say about this climax again.
So, Lena gets to the coastline, and she turns and looks at the lighthouse, and it is surrounded by trees made of glass or crystal.
I'm thinking crystal.
Like, who knows?
I mean, that is the point. Who knows?
And she walks up, and there's like dismembered skeletons laying there.
But like in perfect symmetric order.
Yeah. And she walks in, like, the outside of the lighthouse looks like that fungus that was growing out of the guy in the pool. And it's just growing up the entire side of it, and the top of it is just shining. She goes inside, and she finds another video. And it shows us, I will describe the clips, but it shows us these clips of things that happened to Kane that are about to happen to her as well. That's why I won't describe them right now. And then she watches a video of Kane sitting down with a white phosphorus grenade and burning himself alive. And then another Kane walks out and looks at the camera. And like right before the first Kane says, or burns himself, he says, "Find Lena." And you hear another voice, which is clearly Oscar Isaac, says, "I will." It's like, okay. All right, then.
And it's obviously the Kane that was in the beginning of the movie because he's got the slick back hair.
Yeah. And then she goes down this hole where she finds Ventress laying over, and we start getting a very dark view of Ventress's face, and we realize she has no eyes.
Well, not like gouged out, just like they're gone.
They're gone.
Like,
nothing.
She
My
wasn't flat.
Ventress was like the flat green face, and then the next scene you see her with her full face.
And she looks up and her eyes form, and then she turns and looks at Lena and starts talking to her, and she and she starts talking about how it's trying to break him down. It's trying to break them down to their smallest parts. It's an annihilation, which in physics, annihilation is where everything is broken down into its smallest parts, energy and dark energy and matter and antimatter and all that, to where everything is so evenly spaced that it comes out as mathematically zero. And so while this thing has been changing everything, it's also breaking everything down. It's so complex.
Yeah, I agree.
And then Ventress starts looking like she's gonna vomit, and then just light starts spewing out of her mouth. And she starts breaking into all these light particles that are floating around the room, and then they come back together to form
Jello.
Like a constantly changing shape of an entity. Is it a machine, an organic machine? Is it a living being? Who can tell?
Let's say it's an organic machine because it replicated a Natalie Portman.
Oh, possibly. And the soundtrack in that whole scene, I just love.
I don't normally praise scores. Yeah, I may mention it every now and then, but this score is such a banger. Oh, it's so good.
It reminds me of Bjork, and everything that reminds me of Bjork makes me happy.
No, it does not remind me of Bjork, because anything that reminds me of Bjork makes me
You just have bad taste. You just have bad taste. Anyway.
I've never listened to Bjork, so
don't
the entire gambit.
Save yourself, good sir.
Anyway, so
then we
my
get
favorite.
I get a dance off between Natalie Portman and Silver.
I kind of want to talk about a specific part
Okay.
Whenever like everything happens in what I like to call the xenomorph move, because everything
Underneath. Oh yeah.
Everything reminds me of H.R. Giger's work.
Oh yeah.
And I think that room is just so beautiful and grotesque in the way that it looks. I was like, I spent like I was trying to like pinpoint how I felt about like that scene, because I was like, I know there's something I liked about it. And I was like, oh, it reminds me of all of the architecture like of Giger's work. From, if anybody knows H.R. Giger, Alien. That's his work that inspired Alien, the Xenomorph. So I was kind of like, that's the Xenomorph room, and it just looks so grotesque and beautiful, and just
And if you pay attention, the walls are constantly flowing too.
Oh yeah.
Which just, I feel like it's a feature of all of his work. It's like everything feels like it's going like is once again reminds me of all of that brain drug work. It looks like it's going up. It feels like an optical illusion. A trick of the light.
And so,
but it's not a trick of the light.
We're in this room, and this whatever it is takes a drop of blood from Lena and changes into this silver humanoid figure.
Oh yeah, the Lena's blood that's been mutating this whole freaking time.
Yeah, she has been testing it, looking at it in a microscope, and it's doing some weird stuff. And Lena immediately tries to shoot it.
It doesn't work.
Doesn't
work at all.
And that beautiful, beautiful silver mirror of herself, I am gonna just go on a limb. Is like that is her coming to terms with all of her demons, and saying, "Fuck this shit, I'm out." Either running away
I don't
want to
deal with you,
but like, or facing her demons, facing herself head on. Because I feel like sometimes you gotta fight yourself in order to make yourself a better person, or to get over what the fuck you're getting. That's what's going on. You know what I'm saying, y'all?
Yeah.
So that's what I like. That's my favorite part of that scene.
So they go back up. They fight. They dance around each other some, and then Lena stops fighting. She changes into something different. Not a fighter anymore, because fighting's not going to get her out, because she's getting her ass kicked.
T-1000 don't play.
Not T-1000.
So she changed strategy, and I guess the entity thinks maybe she's going to go the way of Cain. She picks up the white phosphorus grenade and hands it and they hold it together. And then Lena bolts.
Yeah, she's out of there.
And
it's kind of, even though, well, no, it has an expression at this point, because it does turn into Natalie Portman by that point. It looks sad.
Yeah.
It looks almost heartbroken.
Yeah.
It doesn't chase after. It just stands there holding the grenade as she runs away, and it's like, really? You serious right now? You doing this to me?
It just goes to show that that means not only her, but like Cain and her basically like went to the lighthouse, went to the center of the Shimmer, and basically went through the exact same shit, but except while one succumbs, one triumphs, or so they say.
Maybe. We haven't reached the end yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's it. I mean, she kills the entity, it catches on fire, and it's almost like the way it formed into a Natalie Portman with its blood, it almost formed into like a ball of flames because of the white phosphorus, because it just, like, the fire was orange white-ish, but it started turning blue whitish. Essentially it's getting hotter, so it's like it is fire. It's not putting it out. Everything it touches is going up, so the whole lighthouse itself burns, including the little rabbit hole that it morphed from, causing the shimmer to dissipate.
Well, and Lena is outside, and the crystal trees start burning from their bases. All right, and then we're back at Southern Reach HQ, and Lomax is like, "So it was alien," and she's like,
"Who the fuck knows?
Can you describe its form?"
No.
What did it want? Well, it was destroying everything. No, it was changing everything. Right? And then this is you asked earlier why I love this film. And we went through the plot synopsis. Why I love this film is one, there's so many different ways to interpret it. Like, it's refacting time, biology, physics. Everything just gets so crazy. And the interpretations are bountiful. One of my questions is, did you realize who had the tattoo?
Okay, so actually starting this film, so this is probably my third or fourth time watching it. Evidently, I have not been paying attention.
So, yes.
Before we started, you asked me who has the tattoo. And my head goes, well, fucking Oscar Isaac's got the tattoo.
Yes, he's got a bear tattoo right here.
Yeah, but doesn't What's-Her-Face got a tattoo? Wait a second. I started thinking. I had all these pop in my head. And I'm sitting there watching this fucking film. And I remember Natalie Portman getting the bruise. Right? I remember that. But then it goes to the flashback of her talking to Lomax. And she's got a tattoo there. I'm like, okay, well, when did she get a tattoo? And then the next scene is them in the old, whatever the fuck it's called, with the pool scene. That place. There, and Anya has the exact same tattoo that Natty Porty has now.
Right, after the bear attack, they're up in the tower.
Explain.
She clearly goes. Right. Okay, here's the thing. What did you notice about any tattoos?
I noticed that every figure that we saw that was there, like, especially from the fungus mural, that person had the tattoo. Oscar Isaac, Kane had the tattoo, and then we see Natalie Portman all throughout the interview has a tattoo, and she something about echoes or whatever.
Yeah, reflections, echoes.
Echoes, yeah.
So you noticed it on the fungus guy in the pool.
I didn't notice it on the fungus guy at the pool. He had one?
Yeah, he had it on his arm. It's always on everybody's left arm. The first time you see it in the movie is right before they walk into the Shimmer. It is just hanging out the bottom of Thorson's sleeve. So she has it before they go in. Right? And so it's taking things from people, putting them on other folks. We didn't even mention the deer with the flower antlers.
Mm-hmm.
Did it? Was the second one perfectly behind it?
Or did it
duplicate?
See, I was thinking the same thing, because there was a lot of talk about the cells, and you constantly in this film watch cells go from 1 to 2 and split. Mm-hmm. And I was connecting the two. I thought it was just like a visual thing, but I don't know. I don't know no more.
It was it's also like it duplicated, but it wasn't the same. Right. So it wasn't a complete mirror, a complete duplication, but a refraction of it. Because the second one behind it had darker spots. So it was obviously
it also didn't have flowers on the antlers either.
Mm-hmm. Right. So there was that was kind of a mutation on its own. Mm-hmm. And the deeper you get into the Shimmer, the deeper the mutation goes.
Right.
So it kind of makes you wonder what's original and what's a mutation now.
So
who's a mutant and who's a human?
And with that, who's the original and who's the mutant? The next time we see the tattoo of the Ouroboros, that's the figure 8,
the snake eating itself,
is on the guy in the pool. Okay, so yeah, it's moved it over to her. But it's not where you think it is. It's in the videotape. He already has the tattoo in the videotape. Before they ever go into the Shimmer. So my question is, what is the likelihood that Thorson and that guy have the same tattoo? Or is the Shimmer also bending time and took her tattoo and placed it on him earlier in the timeline? Or is it able to affect people outside the Shimmer as well?
If it is, that would explain why Homeboy saw them cheating.
You've added another layer to this.
See, this movie just requires multiple viewings apparently because there's layers. This movie's an ogre.
See, I'm just thinking about that because there's no filmmaking reason why you would slowly move a camera. Because if you're gonna cut, because they never did that with Natalie Portman. It was the same setup, but with him, the camera constantly moved closer to him being more to the right and the door frame being centered. There's no filmmaking filmmaking reason to do that unless you want some sort of interpretation.
I mean, another possible interpretation would be she's about to throw him out, and like it's getting closer and closer. Like, no, get the fuck out that door.
I don't know. I
think yours is just as valid.
I feel like there's a reason you would center that door frame. He was there.
I think great filmmaking makes you question life after the viewing.
You just question all of it.
You question all of it, but in all, it still remains beautiful. It still remains a mystery.
I do love the ending, where they're finally done with Natalie Portman, and she's like, I want to see my husband. And she goes and meets with Oscar Isaac, and she looks at him, and she's like, are you Kane? And he goes, I don't know. Are you Lena? And she goes...
She doesn't really respond.
Nothing. She says nothing. Like, you hear like a hesitant, like she hesitates for a minute, but then she's like, you know what? I really don't know either, I feel like.
Yeah. It also kind of makes you wonder, it feels like if that thing becomes you, like that silver figure that mirrors you, do you think that instead of like just copying you, you kind of like switch places towards like that thing is taking what's you and leaving you like a carbon copy?
Well, think of it like the cell effect. So again, with the two cells, like you see one cell is like, let's take Lena's blood for a minute. Her blood was just the regular red with a little bit of black, right? And then it separates. It's the exact same cellular makeup, but it's different. Take the deer. The first deer you see is all white with the pink flowers on the antlers. Then it splits up. The deers look identical except a few different changes, the color and stuff like that. So I think what is happening is they are identical copies, yet two completely different individual beings.
I also kind of want to bring up the fact that there's a line that Josie says that talks about, like, I'm paraphrasing here, but it's like, how horrible is that when you die, there's like only a certain part of you that survives. Like, it's taking a part of you. I think that's kind of where my theory is coming from. I think it's not destroying you. It's like, it's changing you. Like, it's taking most of you and kind of leaving you like a husk in a way. So I think that's why that last scene plays out the way it does, is because that's not the Kane we knew. That is not the Lena we knew. But I feel like the reason why I say that is because of the fact that I feel like whatever that annihilation happens, and like all of that blood forms of that whole humanoid thing that makes that carbon copy of Lena. I don't know. I just feel like it's like some Freaky Friday shit.
I feel like Kane, we don't know.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, and I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a copy of Lena. I don't care if Lena has been changed. But like all those could be possible. It could be that Lena. What we know for sure is the Lena that went in, the Kane that went in, are not the same ones that come out. Whether that means that their personalities changed from a crazy traumatic event, or they've been copied by some extraterrestrial something, or not. They have changed. And that Ouroboros tattoo is a symbol of death and life in a cyclical pattern. Mm-hmm. That for something new to come about, something else has to die. And I feel that is throughout the entire film.
I feel like I said something like that earlier.
Yeah,
in
you said
this episode.
cycle. It's like a cycle.
Oh, yeah. And so I think you've had it, like, you're like, oh, I think it's there. I think you have it spot on. Spot on. Because there's the tattoo. There's also, she's a biology professor at Johns Hopkins. And at the beginning, she's talking about the cancer cells. And she says, these are cancer cells taken from a female in her 30s who died from her cervix. I think that Heath may know something. He's just staring.
My God.
At one point, there's a flashback where Kane and Lena are sitting on the couch reading. And she is reading The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, who is a woman who died in 1951 of cervical cancer at Johns Hopkins Hospital / University. Her cells were collected.
Illegally.
Huh?
Illegally.
Yes. Well, that's a gray area, but there's a lot of the not telling the Lacks family. It gets real murky, real nasty.
Illegal.
Yes. But her cells are now called HeLa cells. They have gone to they have multiplied. She died in 1951. Almost every microbiology lab in the world has her cells. Her cancer cells that have multiplied. They have gone in for our blood pressure medicines, our cancer treatments. They sent her cells to space. They blew them up in nuclear bombs. She is the first immortal human. If you define it as her cells have never died. And she died of cancer. Cancer is not trying to kill us. Cancer is, we call them a neoplasm. It's a new growth. It's just trying to grow. It's trying to create something new. But as we know from the Ouroboros, for something new to exist, something old has to die.
So, whenever cancer cells affect the body, does that mean just cancer is just its way of just re-establishing itself? Like the cancer cells are just like human cells re-establishing itself as a new being?
Essentially, like, the cancer cells share your DNA, but it's a mutation, and it's basically like if you have liver cancer, it's your liver cells mutated and not growing right, so you have just a tumor that's completely unfunctional for you in your body. And all it wants to do is grow. And if it grows, it kills you. But it's not trying to kill you. It just does.
I don't feel about any of that. That just broke me a little bit. I'm sitting here thinking, this is just a trippy little movie, and then we get into a whole allegory of how in real life cancer is trying to make us immortal, but our bodies are just like, fuck you.
And the other scene before
allegedly,
I'd rather die than be immortal.
Allegedly.
And the other scene where Lena and Kane are lying in bed, and she says that the reason we grow old is because of flaw in our genes. If we could change that and isolate it, we would stop aging and look that. She says, "I would look this way forever." You know the thing that I find most trippy? We're talking about this whole thing. For something new to exist, something old has to go away.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you look at the credits, the humanoid is played by the biology student in the beginning. How do we get new professors in college? A student has to be inspired, grow up, get a doctoral degree, and become a professor. So maybe one day, I think her name was Katie, will become a professor at Johns Hopkins. And she also played the humanoid, silver humanoid, that may or may not have replaced Lena.
This movie really is an ogre.
There's a lot of layers.
Damn.
I feel like this also means that there are just as many layers, if not more so, in the novel than it is in the movie.
I'm scared to read the novel now.
The novel is more vague, harder to understand. Like, I've read it twice, and there's still things that I'm not sure what it was trying to portray. I've only read the first one. I plan to read Authority and Acceptance as well. But there are some differences. No one has names. There's no entity in the lighthouse. There's a creature that chases the biologist. She doesn't even mention her own name. It's all written from a journal perspective. She doesn't have military background. Her husband was a paramedic that went in before, and he comes out, and like before they go in, they know that it's much longer than 3 years, but they don't know how long. And once they go in, they find evidence that Area X may have existed for up to like 20 years.
So there's a lot of differences.
There's a lot of differences. Like, this is one of the... I used to be a stickler, like, movies have to be like the book. And then I started finding movies and books that were nothing like each other and liking them both. This is one of them.
Wow. Well, shoot. Honestly, there's been so much.
Yeah, let's
talk about.
Let's go to final thoughts.
Because, and I'm just kind of overall, I'm just blown away with just how much effort, how much care, how much love, how much of everything was put into this movie. But it also could be that we're a bunch of fucking nerds.
We are a bunch of fucking nerds. Film is our passion.
I mean, I loved this film before I had someone break me with it. Like, I felt like a fucking Hardy Boy. You know, I'm just up on a ladder, and here you come, Mr. Bubba Ray Dudley, just topping me over, and there's the table called Annihilation, and you're just...
I just love it when we can have very deep, in-depth discussions, because it's good to have a different perspective. And I'm glad that someone who's an Annihilation stan is able to just kind of break it down for us today.
Yeah, because if we would have just done it us two, it would have been like, what are these idiots talking about?
Yeah, and exactly.
I would have just talked about how cool the bear was.
And just cool.
Hey, the bear was extremely cool.
But yeah, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I love this film. I thought it was a shame that it did not get as much attention the year it came out. It didn't get a wider theatrical release. I saw it 6 times in theaters. Movie Pass used to be awesome. Don't have it anymore.
At least not right now.
Damn. So, final thoughts.
The more that I talk about it, the more I like it. I was like pretty shiny when I left it originally. But with how deep it is, I have a very deep understanding and fondness of this movie now. Like, this is a movie that I like to consider one to me a filmmaker with. Like, this is a reason to be a filmmaker. It's a film like this. So, that's my final thought. This is inspiration.
I have no final thoughts. 5 stars.
Well, I'm gonna give it my 5. I also had a lot of fun watching this too. So that goes to a 5. I haven't given a 5 in a minute.
Am I limited to only 5?
You can give it whatever the fuck you want. You can give it chicken nuggies if you want to.
I'll put it this way: it is in my top 4 on Letterboxd. It's your Letterboxd 4?
Yeah.
It's number 2. Definitely a 5 out of 5.
Damn. Yeah. So that is an overall resounding 5. I don't think we've done that in a minute.
No, we haven't had a perfect 5 in a long time.
I think the last one was Houseu and Get Out. I think that's our only ones.
Yeah.
Because I loved Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, but I think you gave it like 4.5 or something.
Yeah, no, I think I did give it. I don't know. I think I gave it a 5.
No,
I can't remember.
Well,
we don't have
you
it.
can go back and listen to the episode and check their record.
Check our math. And if you like the video, hit the subscribe button and that bell notification to be notified when more videos come out. Also check out our other content. We are on podcast platforms such as Spotify, Google, and other things.
We're also on social media, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and most importantly, Letterboxd. Everybody should get Letterboxd. Please, I'm begging you.
It's great. And tune in next week because we're watching a good one.
What do you mean a good one?
A good one. I like this film a lot. And it is overrated and no one ever talks about this movie. And it's another horror movie with Kevin Bacon. It's our third Kevin Bacon.
Wait, it's overrated but no one talks about it?
Underrated. I apologize.
Okay.
I was
stupid. Confused for a second.
I'm already stupid and then I have someone smarter than me break me with a movie.
His words, not mine.
My words, not his. I'm stupid. Anyway. Stir of Echoes, directed by David Kope. David directed it. It is a 1999 movie based off the 1958 novel called Stir of Echoes. Same name. But it's written by Richard Matheson.
Yet another movie I'm going in blind for. So this is going to be exciting once again.
It's good. It's got Kevin Bacon.
Heath, have you read it?
No.
Oh.
I dare you.
Can it be read in a week?
Oh yeah. Did you read Annihilation? Thank you. You just reminded me.
No.
Okay. I'm not going to read it.
I dare myself. What other movie that we're going to have this time? Or are you not going to reveal that information quite yet?
Fuck it. I'll reveal it. So you got Stir of Echoes, which is free on Tubi. You should check it out. I have not checked out these other ones to see if you can watch them anywhere, but I will on the next episode. I promise. But after Stir of Echoes, we're doing Let the Right One In. And after that, we are doing Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Some classics I hear.
Yeah.
3 movies I have not seen. I need to change that.
Does that mean you might be coming back?
I mean, that's up to y'all, isn't it?
It is up to us.
I
don't know. I can't have him break me anymore.
I don't know. I for one enjoy it.
You thoroughly enjoy someone breaking me.
Yes.
That is uncomfortable knowledge to know.
Yes.
Don't look at me like that, Jay. I've been Heath.
And I've been Jay. And this has been
John.
Woo!
Look him up on Letterboxd, please.
Yeah.
Add him as a friend on Letterboxd, even if he doesn't promote himself.
And if you don't have a letterbox, get a letterbox. Jesus
Christ, man.
Anyway.
Jay Zorgati, 354, is on record.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Hopefully we can have you back again. And I've thoroughly enjoyed your time. And I know Heath has, despite you breaking him.
Meh.
Anyway.
Tune in next week. And until next time,
thank you for...
We've already done all that.
Yeah.
We've been host of horrors. Goodbye.
Thank you for enjoying the chaos.